Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on this early Sunday morning to our broadcast called Open Up. I am RJ Horner, your host here for Voice of Men 360, and we are created in support of International Men's Day. It's a really valuable program, started well over 20 years ago, and has created a mission to help empower men to work and grow in men's issues. And this show is called Open Up. Really, it is about sharing men's lives and their journeys and their stories, in order to help you pick some things out of that story that may be beneficial or maybe similar to your life, where you can pick a lesson and maybe grow, because you don't have to go down that road. Really, it is a valuable program, and it takes certain people to open up about their story. And today my guest is he's an addiction counselor for the Walpole Indian First Nations. You know what? There are many First Nations, of course, and the Walpole Indians are just one of them. And of course, he is a supporter of International Men's Day as well, and was one of our feature speakers for the for our Voice of Men 360 representation for International Men's Day. Again, he is part of the First Nations, and they're facing a growing number of challenges right now during this COVID pandemic. So, Stacey, thank you for joining us today on Open Up. Please share your journey a little bit about, just tell us a little bit about yourself first, and then we'll get into your journey and your topic.
All right. Wow. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, CVM. Good morning, RJ. It's really good to be here with you today. It's a very beautiful day out there. Lots of good energy in our lives. With even though we're struck with challenges of this time that we're in, we're finding our way, and that's the best thing to really know is that we're all finding our way. And the thing is that our true spirit, our true heart, our true energy is coming out. It's coming out, and it's coming out, because of all of the things that we've ever done in our lives to bring us to this point where we're at in our lives. It's coming out, and for most of us. It feels good because one, we're validating where we're at in our life, and we're exactly where we're supposed to be. And that is also in truth with the things that we're understanding about ourselves that maybe we never really had time to give thought to that. And we're doing that now because we have nothing but time now, and it's just powerful when we're able to truly understand ourselves a lot better in our lives, because our bubbles that we talk about in this time is our families, and our families are important, and it's up to all of us to really understand, like, what is family to me. And is it my biological family, or is it my family that I ended up creating and making because that's the energy, spirit, and of soul that wants to always be connected with another soul, whether it's male, female, or friend. The soul wants to always be connected. It will always want to do that. And when we have those opportunities to do that, we create great friendships with people, whether it's our family, whether it's our co-workers, or whether it's people that we think highly of, elders. It also could be people that are very helpful and have been helpful to not just us, but to other people. And those friendships, that energy, once it's created, it's very difficult to lose that. You know, and it's something that it's all inside of us. We're all able to do that, is to create those friendships of energy with one another. So, like I said, this day has lots of energy in it. Um, so again, I'm from Walpole Island First Nation. We are situated along the St. Clair River of the Great Lakes. We are right on the border of um, Ontario and Michigan. Um, so we have our own ferry line here where we just cross over to Michigan, but right now all the borders are closed. We have, even though we're called Walpole Island First Nation, we actually are 5 islands, and we have lots of inland lakes. We have inland channels. We have lots of marshland. We have lots of forestry. We have a very diverse um, natural fauna and flora, meaning trees and plants and flowers and everything that you really won't find anywhere else in Ontario. And if you do, it's a little bit small. For us, we have 5 islands of all of that, and so there's lots of fishing, lots of hunting that goes on here, and we have a lot of people that choose to do that. Um, you One of the things that we've experienced in our indigenous community is the loss of culture, which can include the culture attachment to the hunting and the harvesting um, of everything from our lives, food, from the water, from the air, from the land, um, whether it be four-legged animals or whether it's plant, stuff like that. So we have a lot of that here. It's just that it's now at that point in our histories where that becomes a choice for all of us, and then the choice is always going to come down to how do we value um, things in our lives, and those are our teachings, is for us to figure out what do I value in my life, because whatever I value in my life, that's what I'm more than likely going to do, and whatever I end up doing, that's what people end up seeing, whether it's our children, whether it's our community, whether it's our family, whether it's our friends. Someone is always watching and witnessing your life, and it's not just us, and where we're sitting here and we have blinders on, and it's like this is me, and it's not like that. There's always this energy of witnessing things as well as people witnessing us as well at the same time, and it's very important. So when we talk about the cultural aspect of our indigenous nations, we're all with that challenge of what's our connection, what's our values in our lives, and how do we show it every day, or how do we show it over time. Um, so Walpole Island, we have lots of different um, um, ecological things in our lives that are very um, powerful to us, because we don't know what it's like to get up before dawn and then go out there and sit and wait for that animal to come, with our prayers and whatever we're using to hunt with. It could be a bow, could be a crossbow, could be a gun, um, and hiding out. What does it take to blend in and into creation and to hide out, you know, before the sun comes up,
Mhm.
so that you're successful in what it is that you want to do. Did you purify and cleanse your being so that your hunt is successful? Are you offering tobacco beforehand for a successful hunt, so that you can feed your family and your community and your friends, that you can share that meat at ceremony, and that somewhere down the line someone's going to be, you know, enjoying um, the um, the prize of your hunt at a ceremony,
Mhm.
and that's pretty special when that happens. So, you know, not everybody knows what it's like to go through that process of hunting, of securing food. Same with our foods that we're planting. What is it um, um, that we have to do in order to make sure that food is readily available for not just my family, but other people, because that's part of the values in our beliefs. How do we take care of one another? How do I take care of, you know, the people beside me that live around me, older people? How do I take care of um, other families that are playing with my children? How do I take care of um, mm, you know, the people that are maybe less fortunate that I see in my life? What good gestures can I bring them today, even if it's a wave or a hi or a handshake, something. Especially during this time when we're told that, you know, we have to limit our contact and with people, and that totally goes against you know, our value system as Indigenous people, where, you know, we want to be with one another, we want to be able to gather and to share. So we're in some challenging times um, when the values that we have and that we know are helpful to us, or we're told not to do them. And that brings us to, you know, our ceremonies, and then we the question, you know, how much do I value ceremony, culture, spirituality in my life? And if I do, then what is it that I'm going to show people? What is it that I'm going to show them that I am balancing all of this out during this time where we're told not to be gathering and not to be, um, you know, outside of our bubbles.
Absolutely. Listen, thank you for that journey because I think you gave everybody a real good insight into your culture, first of all, but then the constraints that you're under. I mean, you guys are a modern society because, I mean, we're moving into modern times, but you still have a lot of cultural beliefs and um, actions that you've grown up and you guys are still embracing. You're trying not to lose as part of your culture. Um, but at the same time, tell me a little bit about your childhood, what it was like for you growing up. You know, as a Walpole Indian, tell me some of the constraints you were under then to become the man, you know, a strong Indian man.
Okay. Well, that is probably one of the terms that we did um, know how we were described as Indian. Like that word Indian is something that um, we all kind of, as kids, labeled ourselves to. So we knew that we were different just by that name. We kind of knew as well that we were different because of the color of our skin, We kind of knew because um, that when we were out in um, society, that there was different colors of people when we were in the stores, when we were traveling and um, to be with family or to visit family off the reserve, when we were exposed to other cultures and colors of people. So those were some of the ways that we kind of knew as kids, we're different, but so are other people. They're also different. Um, and oftentimes when I was a kid, I, um, my my teacher would have been like the TV set because the TV set showed Leave It to Beaver family, it showed the Brady Bunch family, it showed the Partridge family, it showed all of these families on TV. And to me, that was like, oh, that's how families act, and that's how families are, and that's how families um, are out there. You know, even with it was another show that I was trying to reference for a moment. I kind of slipped my mind, but that one way of trying to understand what family was, even as a kid, was okay. This is what family does. Well, how come that's not happening here in our family? So those were some challenging times for me as a kid when trying to understand, you know, just myself as a kid. You
Right,
know,
kind of how you fit in, I guess, to the whole picture of things, right?
yeah, yeah. Because if um, if all I see in my family is what it is, then how about my neighbors? How about my friends? How's their family? What's their family like? And I would often reflect on that about, what's my friend's family life down the road? Um, and because sometimes we were, visiting each other's homes, and other times we weren't. And one of the things that um, is very profound in my life was that both of my parents were residential school survivors. Both of them were removed from their parents in their lives and taken away to residential school in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, to Shingwalk. My father
So,
was.
if you don't mind, let me stop you there because you mentioned something very specific, and we can't understand it unless we're in your culture, of course, right? But that your school system, like you mentioned residential schools, so you're taken from your community and placed somewhere else. Is that what I'm getting?
Um, Not myself, but my parents
Yeah,
were.
but it's part of your culture, and you haven't experienced it personally, but I mean that's part of it. Happens, right?
It
That's got to
happened.
be one of the challenges growing up, is what I'm getting at.
It was something that was forced to happen to us. Yes, there was nothing that the parents couldn't even stop
Mm.
the child being taken from them because they could get jailed for it.
And I thank you because I just wanted to touch on that because that's something that we can't understand unless we're part of your culture. We can't understand that, and of course, I don't think it should be acceptable. But it's a practice that happens, and you have no choice but to accept it and deal with it and move on. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, that's a brave face that you would have to put on, and that's one of the challenges. Because I mean, okay, other than those kind of challenges, what's um, elementary or grade school life like for you, in your culture?
Right. When I was, like I said, when I was younger, I did have a few friends that were, fairly local to where I lived, and then there was other kids that I got to meet mostly just at school. And that's by the time I was going to school, um, they had already, you know, closed the majority of um, removing or closed a majority of the residential schools, and they no longer had the practice. And I'm talking about they, as in the government, removing kids. So when they stopped that practice, what they ended up doing was they ended up um, not removing you from school anymore, but you being moved into elementary school that is either closest to your community, or like us, we ended up having one built here. So what ended up happening then is the teachers and the administration staff that were there um, were very similar to what was already gone on in residential schools. So now you didn't have to get sent away to residential school because you could go right to school in your community, but the same practices were still carried on. And that's why there is a class action lawsuit for day schools in indigenous communities that is just kind of starting up, where people like myself and other people that are around my age that experienced similar stuff that happened in residential school, but now you didn't even have to leave the community to experience that. You could have it experienced in your own community. So growing up, we kind of witnessed as kids some of that stuff that happened between administration and teachers in our own communities, where there was, you know, some violent um, occurrences between students and teachers. So, you know, that happened, and that, you know, was difficult to be learning in, to try learning academically.
Absolutely.
Um,
So that's
yeah.
got to be difficult growing up when you're trying to get an education, you're trying to learn all you can, and then you've got all these constraints or difficulties that I mean the normal person shouldn't have to deal with, but I mean now you've got to accept them as part of your upbringing, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So, childhood was challenging. It was very challenging for me, and it was also challenging for my siblings. You know, I'm only sitting here speaking of my own experience as one of 13 children,
Mm.
because there's 13 of us siblings, um,
So if you wouldn't
and
mind just telling me a little bit about what that was like, because I mean, 13 kids, how do you fit into a crowd like that?
yeah, like I said, that's the Brady Bunch, eh? But we're the indigenous version of the Brady Bunch, and our
So
house
so
was in
were you as happy as the Brady Bunch then?
there was definitely some happy times and some very memorable times, and the thing is with a large family, you know, um, it's kind of difficult over time to try and remember all of the different things that we did, because sometimes we weren't always together.
Mm.
Not everything happened in the home. Our lives happened outside of the home with our friends and with in our school, and the things that we all did differently in our lives, whatever those interests might have been. So for me, I was kind of always into sports, and so that's why still today I'm very active with the gym, with running, with staying healthy, eating nutritionally. And one of the things that I've picked up over the past 30 years is the culture, and that's new because that wasn't there when I was a kid. My parents didn't practice it. They were just too busy trying to provide for a large family in their own way, and they did the best that they could trying to do that. And that's a teaching uh, that still is with me today, is that all we can do is the best that we can ever do for others, for our children, for our lives, just to know that I am fulfilling my responsibility, my purpose, and my meaning in life, um, doing this little bit,
Right. And
whether
so
it's
and so you
mm,
became an addictions counselor. What led to that? Like where did the morals, or where did the idea to give back in that fashion, where did that come from?
well, that came from more about my healing journey. So I've been clean from substances going on 30 years now, sub
Congratulations.
from alcohol and drugs. And, that was quite a journey doing, substances. To me now, as I look back on it, it's short compared to some people's struggles in life,
Mhm.
um, the stories that I hear. And, for
Now you say 30 years ago, right? That's when you had your issue. So, I mean, are you working with youth and young boys now? Is that your passion, or where does your practice really work out?
the position that I'm in now, we deal primarily with adults,
Okay.
because other programs that deal specifically with youth. And like I said earlier, being involved in learning, wanting to learn about culture and spirituality, that naturally took a life all on its own. And what ends up happening is that it takes you to places where um, you're allowed you allow yourself to start experiencing things that are totally different than what your life used to be like. And that's where things changed for me, because I already knew what it was like to be intoxicated, to be inebriated, to not remembering anything, to be blacked out, to not knowing what happened or what I did. And being in and out of correctional facilities for short periods of time, longer periods of time, trying to prolong a court proceeding so I don't have to go in and stuff like that. And practicing, so I practice all kinds of behaviors about how not to be responsible for my life, and to blame. So I blamed the government. I blamed my parents. I blamed my friends. I blamed, um, and I could just try and blame anybody so that I didn't have to take responsibility for how my life is going. And that's what I did, and that's what I practiced for so long. So when we talk about healing journeys, we're talking about what is it that I'm going to stop practicing in my life so that I can practice something a little bit better, something a little bit more healthier. And for me, that was um, what I did. That's
Mhm.
how I understood it. Is that now, if I'm trying to turn a new leaf, then what is it that I'm turning from? What do I totally understand about all of that, so that I can figure out how to let it go? And it's been a process, and
Yep.
that's
And it's a journey too, right? No matter what, it's a journey you have to get to where you are, right?
right. Hmm.
And so you've had some experiences. Obviously, you've done a lot of giving back, and being there for people in your society. um tell we're all a role model, being positive role models. So tell me a little bit of guidance or advice you would give to our youth out there right now, to avoid going down a path that you've experienced, so that what they don't have to have addictions recovery or something like that.
Right. Well, I would probably first offer advice to the parents. One is because the parents are the ones that are responsible for creating the environment that the children are going to be in, and they're also going to be responsible for all of the learning that's so important in a child's life in between, from being born all the way up to grade 10 to not to be in but around age 10. And that's going to be a very powerful time. And, the parents are responsible for making that environment exactly what it's going to be for that child to help them. So that child is going to receive everything that they need at that stage in their life, because there's different stages of development that we're supposed to experience in order to really feel like, yes, I really feel good about myself. I love myself. I've had loving experiences. I'm really well cared for. I feel very safe. And these are some of the things that I love and like about myself and in my life. And these are the things that I love and like about friends. And these are what I love and like about family. And if those things end up not being a part of a child's life, what are they going to think about themselves just at that age, 10 and under?
Mhm.
And that will set the stage for the rest of the next learning. So when I get to that stage of that life where I'm almost expected to start knowing a little bit more about what I want to be doing in life, what are my interests in life? Do I want to start branching out into doing hunting with my parents, or if they're doing that, or on my own? But if I don't have any of that real positive upbringing brought up in my life, then life's going to be challenging right away. So
Mhm.
as a youth, then your life can be challenging if you didn't receive those types of lifestyle upbringing that your parents are responsible for. So that would be the first messages to the parents,
Mhm.
you know. Yeah,
And then
be
so again, life's a journey. You know what? Thank you for sharing your journey with us today. I mean, there's so much more we could talk about, but this is a half-hour show. But just leave us, if you could, with one powerful piece of advice to making that life journey a little bit easier.
every day, do your best to be very grateful for whatever it is that you have in your life, because when you can see gratitude just for having be able to breathe, not everybody can do that, you know, and using all of our senses, our sight, not everybody can see. If I take my glasses off, I'm at a loss already. I am.
Mhm.
So these glasses are just powerful. Some people can't hear. So just grateful for all the senses that we have that guide us through our life. And our soul is a sense, and we need to take care of it. And we need to take care of our body and our heart and our mind and our spirit, because when we do that, we're able to be who we need to be, for ourselves and for others. So, very important.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Stacey, A, for your time today. I mean, again, this is a Sunday morning and you've taken some valuable time with us, but you've also shared what it's like to step into your life. Thank you for that. That takes a powerful person. It takes a strong person. And I hope everybody out there can gain something from our interview today. Again, they can understand a little bit more about your culture and what it's like to grow up in your shoes, and maybe be able to understand people that they're going to deal with out there. So thank you for all of your time today and for sharing that journey with us.
You're welcome. It was very great. Thankful.
Thank you.
Thank
And so once again, we are Voice of Men 360, and you can find us at www.voiceofmen360.org. And right now, we have one more week left in our art competition. So we are hosting, in honor of International Men's Day, an art competition. And this competition is only running for another week. The deadline is December 20th, Sunday, next Sunday. And we want you to share your art. Share your thoughts about International Men's Day through your art, whether that be drawings, pictures, photographs, maybe a short story or a film, a performance, stage performance, or write an article. There's many ways you can share your art with us. But again, keep it in mind that we're sharing for International Men's Day and your thoughts on that. So please send your entries to info@voiceofmen360.org. And once again, this is brought to you by Voice of Men 360 and RCP Business Community. We want to thank our sponsors for helping to put this together. You'll get a first prize offering brought to you by Right Choice Professionals of $250. Thank you for that. And then our second prize of $175 is brought to you by Wood Gold LLP Barristers and Solicitors. And then we have a third prize of $100, which is brought to you by Macamet and Agostino Mortgages. And you'll get a $500 gift with a purchase of a mortgage or refinancing. So thank you for that. And then we want to also thank our website support team for putting this together. And that was brought to you by DF Credit Solutions. So once again, please send your entries to info@voiceofmen.org for our art competition. Again, the deadline is Sunday, December 20th. Thank you again for joining us. I am RJ Horner. I'm the host of Open Up, where we talk about men's issues to help you out there, help understand men and help each other learn and grow. So thank you for joining us today. We'll be back next Sunday, 10 a.m. And once again, we are a ongoing talk show and we're constantly seeking guests to help share their journey. So please, again, also reach out to us at info@voiceofmen360 or give us a call at 437-889-8329. You can find our information along the bottom banner there. Please reach out to us. We are Voice of Men 360. I'm RJ Horner. Until next time, better days ahead.